So guys, I'm gonna tell you about fetch API. What is the fetch API in JavaScript, right? So first I will tell you about theory, syntax, example, and explanation part with that example, right? So one by one I'm gonna teach you all. So it will be going to easy for you all to understand the code. Right, welcome to JavaScript, guys. So this is a fetch API. The fetch API is a modern JavaScript API for making network requests, such as fetching data from a server. It provides a cleaner and more powerful alternative to the traditional XML HTTP request. The fetch function return a promise that resolve to the response object, representing the response to the request. So, basic syntax: what is the fetch URL dot then response, uh, like check if the request was successful, status code 200 minus 299, if response dot okay, throw new error, http error, status for dollar response dot status, it means parse the response body as JSON. Return response dot JSON dot then data, handle the data, console.log data dot catch error, handle error during the fetch operation, console.error, fetch error, comma error. Explanation: what is the fetch URL, by the way? The fetch function take a URL as its parameter and return promise that resolve to the response object, representing the response to the request. Dot then response: the first dot then block check if the response was successful by examining the OK property of the response object. If the response was not successful, status code outside the range 29, it throw an error. Come, dot then data. If the response was successful, the second dot then block is executed. It passes the response body as JSON using the JSON method of the response object. Dot catch error. The dot catch block is used to handle error during the fetch operation. If any error occur in the previous dot then block or during the initial fetch, it will be caught and processed here. Let's understand with the example. Let's use the fetch API to retrieve data from a hypothetical JSON API. Const API URL is equal to https oblique JSON placeholder type code.com post /1, right? Fetch API URL dot then API URL dot like fetch API URL dot then response, if not equal to response dot okay, throw new error, http error, status dollar response dot status, return response dot JSON dot then data, console dot log data comma data dot catch error, console dot error, fetch error, code explanation. Const API URL, this one. What is this, right? This line declare a const variable API URL and assign it the URL for a specific port from the JSON placeholder fake online REST API. Fetch API URL. The fetch function is used to make a network request to the specified URL API URL. It returns a promise that resolves to a responsive object, representing the response to the request. Dot then response. The first dot then block is chained to the fetch call. It receives the response object as its parameter. If response dot okay, throw new error, http error. What is the meaning of that? Inside the first dot then block, it check if the response status is within the successful range, status code 299. If the response status is not, if the response status is not in this, it throw an error using the throw new error. Syntax: the error message include the HTTP status code. Response return response.json. If the response is successful, the second part of the first dot that block is executed. It calls the JSON method on the response object to parse the response body as JSON. The JSON method also return a promise. So this line return a promise that resolve to the parsed JSON or data. dot then data. The second dot then block is chained to handle the path JSON data received from the successful response. Data comma data. Inside the second dot then block, it logs the path JSON data to the console along with a message indicating that it's data. Dot catch error. The dot catch block is used to catch any error that might occur during the fetch operation or the processing of the response. If an error occurs, it logs an error message to the console. Additional option. The fetch function can take additional option to customize the request such as method, header, body, etc. Example. Const API URL, fetch API URL method post, header, content type application.json, body JSON stringify, title new post, body JSON dot stringify, title new post, body, this is the body of new post, user id 1 dot then response dot json dot then data console dot log data dot catch error console dot error fetch error code explanation. Const API URL. This line declare a constant variable API URL and assign it in the URL for posting data to the JSON placeholder fake online REST API. Fetch API URL. The fetch function is used to make a network request to the specified URL API URL. The second parameter is an option object that customizes the request. In this case, it specifies a post request with header and JSON a payload. Method post. The method option is set to post, indicating that this is a post request. Header content type application JSON. The header option set the content type of the request to application JSON. This is necessary when sending JSON data in the request body. Body JSON.stringify. The body option is used to send data in the request body. Here it is a set to the result of JSON.stringify, which convert a JavaScript object to the JSON string. The payload include property like to title, body, and user ID to create new post. Dot then response.json. The first dot then block is chained to the fetch call. It receives the response object as it is parameter. The response .json method is called the parse the response body as JSON. This also return a promise. Dot then data console.log data. Data. What is the meaning of that? The second dot then block is chained to handle the parse JSON data received from the successful response. It logs the parse JSON data to the console, indicating that is a data. Dot catch error. Console dot error fetch error, comma error. The dot catch block is used to catch any error that might occur during the fetch operation or the processing of the response. If an error occurs, it log an error message to the console. So this is all about catch fetch API.